They told you it was just a myth, a story meant to scare or inspire. A man named Noah, a giant boat, animals 2 by 2, and a flood that wiped out the entire world. But what if I told you the story of Noah's flood wasn't just a bedtime tale from the Bible? What if it was a coded historical event? What if ancient civilizations across the globe recorded the same event with eerie accuracy? And what if the truth behind this flood was deliberately hidden from you? Because it exposes something far more disturbing than you've ever imagined. Before we dive in, hit that like button and subscribe to Ancient Light. Because what you're about to hear will change how you see history forever. Let's begin with the impossible coincidence. Over 200 ancient cultures, from Mesopotamia to the Aztecs, have flood myths, all eerily similar. A great flood, a chosen survivor, a vessel, a divine warning. This isn't coincidence. It's not fiction repeated. It's evidence of a shared global catastrophe. But why would mainstream history ignore this? The Bible tells us that God decided to destroy humanity due to corruption and violence. Noah, a righteous man, was warned. He built the ark, survived the flood, and started humanity anew. That's the version you were taught in Sunday school. But the Sumerians, arguably the oldest civilization on Earth, recorded a nearly identical event in the Epic of Gilgamesh, written over 1,000 years before the earliest biblical texts. In that version, a man named Utnapishtim is warned by a god of a coming flood. He builds a massive boat, loads it with animals, and survives. Sound familiar? Now ask yourself, how did two vastly different cultures, separated by time, geography, and religion, write nearly the exact same story? Because they didn't imagine it. They remembered it. The truth is, around 11,000 years ago, something catastrophic happened. The Younger Dryas impact hypothesis suggests that a comet or fragments of one struck Earth, causing sudden climate change, massive floods, and the extinction of megafauna. In short, a global reset. Sea levels rose by hundreds of feet, massive ice sheets melted, coastal civilizations drowned, and oral traditions passed the horror down through generations. These stories eventually became the flood myths of nearly every culture on Earth. But why has this been buried? Because it disrupts the official timeline of human history. Mainstream archaeology tells us civilization began around 5,000 years ago, after the flood myths were supposedly written. But what if there was an advanced civilization before the flood? One lost to the water, forgotten deliberately. Let's talk about Gobekli Tepe in modern-day Turkey, an archaeological site that's at least 12,000 years old. It predates the pyramids by 7,000 years, and its carvings. They depict animals, constellations, and even symbols interpreted as a comet impact. Many researchers now believe Gobekli Tepe was built by a pre-flood civilization, one that knew something terrible was coming, and encoded it into stone for the future. Now remember, the Bible says Noah's Ark came to rest on Mount Ararat, also in Turkey. Coincidence? Or is Turkey the cradle of a civilization so old, so advanced, that it shattered everything we thought we knew? Let's go deeper. The Book of Enoch, a banned biblical text, offers even more stunning revelations. It describes the Watchers, heavenly beings who descended to earth, corrupted humanity, and taught forbidden knowledge. Their offspring, giants known as the Nephilim. The Book of Enoch says the flood was sent not just because of sin, but to wipe out the Nephilim. Why was this book removed from the Bible? Because it paints a picture not of primitive humans, but of a world where celestial beings mingled with mankind, a world of lost knowledge, of advanced structures, of genetic hybrids. And here's the kicker. Skeletal remains of giants have been discovered throughout North America, Europe, and the Middle East. Many were quickly lost, after being excavated, some even seized by institutions like the Smithsonian. Why? Because it challenges the controlled narrative of human evolution and civilization. A narrative designed to keep you believing that modern man is the pinnacle, when in truth, we may be the survivors of something far greater and more ancient. Let's talk about the Ark itself. Many have mocked the idea of a wooden boat carrying two of every species. But what if that wasn't literal? What if the Ark wasn't a boat, but a vault of DNA, preserving genetic material, not physical animals? What if Noah, or whoever he really was, wasn't just a man, but part of a more advanced civilization trying to preserve life through scientific means? Think about it. Ancient Indian texts like the Mahabharata describe flying machines, nuclear-like weapons, and advanced cities long before modern science. Why wouldn't the same apply to Noah? Or what if the ark was a vessel, but not one that floated on water? What if it was an extraterrestrial craft? Ancient astronaut theorists have long speculated that divine intervention in flood myths might actually be alien intervention, that humanity was nearly wiped out, and those worth saving were taken aboard a ship. Sound crazy? Not when you consider the Sumerians claimed their gods, called the Anunnaki, came from the heavens and created humans by mixing their DNA with primitive hominids. What if the flood wasn't just punishment, but a reset, a reboot of a failed experiment? And what if that reset is coming again? Climate change, melting ice caps, strange weather patterns, all echo the signs of a previous cataclysm. What if the elite know this? What if that's why ancient knowledge is suppressed? Because those in power want to control who survives the next flood. Why are underground bunkers being built worldwide? Why does the Vatican have one of the largest secret archives on Earth, including documents about the flood? Why is there a massive seed vault in Svalbard, near the Arctic Circle? Because they know this has happened before, and it will happen again. The truth is Noah's flood wasn't a moral tale. It was a historical warning, and humanity forgot. Or rather, it was made to forget. The evidence is in the Earth's crust. It's in ancient architecture that defies explanation. It's in religious texts that were banned, buried, or burned. And it's in the myths that survived despite millennia of censorship. You were lied to. Not because the truth wasn't known, but because the truth is too powerful, too destabilizing. If the world knew that civilization rises and falls in cycles, that we've been more advanced before, that there were beings who weren't among us who weren't entirely human, then the entire foundation of our society, our science, our religions, our politics would collapse. The story of Noah is not about animals or rainbows. It's about survival, memory, and warning. A message carved into myth, to prepare us for what's coming next. So the next time you hear someone laugh at the story of Noah's Ark, remember this. It's not that the story is false. It's that the version you were told was edited. The real flood, the real ark, the real history of humanity has been hidden in plain sight. Now it's up to you to decide what to believe. But one thing is certain, the waters will rise again, and only those who remember will survive. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more forbidden truths from ancient light. Because history isn't what they told you, it's what they hid, and we're here to expose it.